Welcome to Ditch the Leech, the channel about breaking free from the toxic grip of energy vampires. Today, we're unpacking bloodline curses, what they are, how they work, and most importantly, how to break them. Let's dive in. Have you been feeling like you're carrying bloodline curses, as if no matter how hard you try to break free from dysfunctional family patterns, something invisible keeps pulling you back into the very life you tried to escape? Maybe addiction runs in your family, and even though you never touched alcohol, you found yourself struggling with prescription pills, sugar, or nicotine instead? Or maybe you swore you'd never become like your parents, only to realize you've created the similar dynamics in your adult relationships. And at some point, the thought creeps in, what if I'm cursed? You start searching for answers about generational curses. You find stories, series, maybe even someone online, a psychic, who confirms this dreadful suspicion. Maybe you tried rituals, candle work, or prayers, but somehow it feels like nothing truly breaks the pattern. Today, let's go deep into the mystery of bloodline curses, what they are, whether they're real, and if there is truly a way to break them. Time to get started. What are bloodline curses? Since we're talking about real generational curses, let's explore this through real-life example. Let's say there is a girl named Susanna. Susanna is born into a family of leeches. And if you're new on this channel, leeches is what I call energy vampires, such as narcissists, psychopaths, manipulators, people who act like predators, feeding on others' time, energy, and life force to get ahead. Susanna's mother is a psychopath, cold, calculating, predatory. Susanna, on the other hand, bright, kind, sensitive, talented, full of potential. She has a real chance at building a beautiful life of her own. But her energy vampire mother doesn't want that. She had a child because she wanted to have a source, a supply, a living, breathing blood bag she can feed on anytime. Someone who wouldn't walk away no matter what. Someone who would stay, absorb, suffer in silence, but still serve. Now let me ask you, the viewer of this brutal video, what do you think that leech mother would need to do to turn a resourceful, capable person into an absolute doormat? What beliefs would she need to plant in Susanna's head? What would she have to do to make Susanna stay with the beast that eats her alive, despite all the pain it causes her, while turning away from her own bright future? How can it be accomplished? And that is what I believe a real bloodline curse is. Not something mystical or supernatural, but something just as powerful, a psychological trance, a slow, deliberate conditioning that breaks a person down until they forget who they are and start handling themselves over, piece by piece, to predators, totally convinced in the righteousness of this horrendous act. Even if someone like this escapes the family system, it's like the conditioning stays inside them. They sabotage their own success because they were trained to feel shamed and guilt around it, not happiness and joy. They gravitate toward other predators because being used and abused feels like love. And sooner or later, their illusion of escape falls apart, and they're standing right back in the same place they fought so hard to leave. That's a family curse in action, and it's never just one person. Zoom out and you'll see the whole family system split into two forces. The ones who feed on the dysfunction, the leeches like Susanna's mother, and the ones who get destroyed by it, like Susanna. So now, let's break down the exact spells Susanna has been living under to stay with the predator as a blood bag voluntarily, one by one. And then we'll zoom out and see how this pattern gets passed down generation after generation. Breaking bloodline curses, identifying the spells. Let's break down Susanna's generational curse spell by spell. Susanna wasn't raised like other kids who were happy to be born into non-predatory families. She has been groomed from childhood to become the perfect victim, the ideal donor. You can think of it as a programming that was installed into her so she would voluntarily give parts of herself to her abusive mother and feel like she's being a good girl while doing it, not resisting, not questioning, participating. Susanna's family curse is made up of multiple spells, each one locking her deeper into the hypnotic trance of forgetting who she really is and blind to reality or what's going on with her. Let's break them down. Spell number 1. The predator is a good person. Susanna must look at a predator, teeth out, saliva dripping, ready to bite, and see a loving mother. She must believe she's not that bad. She had a hard childhood. There's goodness in her. I can save her. Because the moment Susanna sees the truth that this is not a loving mom but a domestic abuser, the entire spell cracks. Spell 2. They love me. She must learn to frame abuse as love. Deep down, a part of her may know something is wrong, but another part works overtime to justify it, rationalize it, to rewrite it. The voice of truth gets buried, and no matter how severe abuse gets and how much evidence piles up, she stays in delusion that this is love. For those of you who are under this hypnotic spell, it's not love. The predator loves energetically eating you alive. It loves to consume your energy, your money, your youth, whatever is still left of you, but it doesn't love you. If the leech had even the smallest capacity for love, they tell you the most loving words they are capable of. Get away from me and never come back. You are not loved. You're being used. Spell number 3. The predator is my savior. The predator creates chaos in Susanna's life, then step in as a hero. They heal her from wounds, they offer comfort, and now she's grateful. They must convince her they are helping her, while there's the reason she's drowning. These people love handing you the poison and then saving you at the last moment. They stretch your suffering out just enough to watch you break a little more before they step in. So you start believing you're helpless without them. They mentally destroy you, then cure you from the depression or addiction that was born after their abuse. The predator is my savior is one of the most dangerous spells one can be under. Spell number 4, I owe them. One of the strongest spells that keeps the victim of childhood abuse like Susanna bound to an abusive parent is the belief they owe them. The idea that you owe your abuser becomes a chokehold made of guilt, obligation, and pity tight enough that many never break free. They raised me. They fed me. They didn't leave me in orphanage. They bought me clothes. They gave me shelter. I owe them. There is a brutal example I like to show how ridiculous this belief system is. Think of a cow raised for slaughter, fed, kept alive. Does she owe anything to the factory owner for this upbringing? Is she expected to walk willingly into the knife out of gratitude for the food and shelter it received? I think the answer is as clear as it gets. Spell number 5, twisted morality. In this system, self-sacrifice is treated as virtue, but only in one direction. The parents don't truly sacrifice for their child, they only pretend to. They feed their child a distorted set of moral values that essentially train them to become perfect donors. Susanna wants to have something for herself? That's selfish. That's wrong. Give everything. Share everything. Be available. Always. The more you give yourself away, the more virtuous you are. Susanna wants to keep the money she received for her birthday? That's greed. You must be generous. Give. Give more. And even when the pain hits from the abuse she's enduring, the programming ensures she turns it inward and thinks something is wrong with her, not the abuser. And as she's being destroyed piece by piece, she tells herself this is love. She may even feel pride in how much she can sacrifice, how much pain she can endure and still stay. And what's most disturbing is what this version of morality ignores completely. Abuse is normalized. Lying, manipulation, and exploitation aren't considered immoral at all. The parent is given impunity to commit the most horrendous acts while the child is scrutinized for every tiny thing. That's how someone is trained to disappear and call it a virtue. Spell number 6. My pain means I'm broken. You don't like being exploited? You don't like being abused? You feel hurt, angry, exhausted? Then something must be wrong with you. You're too sensitive. You're unstable. You're mental. You need psych meds. You belong in the psych ward. Susanna may be confused. Why does everyone seem to love her abusive mother? Why do people love her at work? Why does it seem like Susanna is the only one who seems to have problems with this person who seems to be so great with everyone else? So it must be her. She must be the problem. Well, this is a bit of a spell-breaking hack. Energy vampires often play an imitation game in the outside world. They develop a kind of performative behavior, becoming the angelic version of a human being. They might donate to a charity, pay for someone's treatment, or perform all sorts of outward kind gestures. It's like paid ads. People pay for these to boost their social media rankings. Energy vampires do something similar. Their reputation is what lures in the new supply, so they invest in it with these performances. Exposure for who they really are and what they do behind closed doors feels like a threat to their survival. But the truth is, Susanna's mother is a domestic abuser who managed to deceive a lot of people to cover up her horrendous crime. Spell number 7. I'm not capable to make it on my own. Susanna is trained to believe she can survive without a predator. She feels weak, incapable, unmotivated, apathetic, and hollowed out. Of course she feels weak. She's been drained, beaten down, worn out, abused, exploited, wounded. But that weakness, it's not who she is. It's a result of abuse. Think of a professional boxer after a brutal fight. They're shaking, exhausted, barely able to stand, not because they're weak, but because they've been hit over and over again. That exhaustion, that's not who they are. That's the aftermath of the fight. Now imagine living in that state every day. You start to believe that's who you are. And of course, Susanna is afraid to leave. She may think, how am I supposed to survive on my own like this? But that's the illusion, because it's not that she's weak. It's that she has been in a system that keeps taking from her. If she dares to walk away, cut all contact with those who drain her, she'll recharge and realize she is far from being weak. Spell number 8. The world is bad. To keep Susanna trapped, her toxic family convinces her the world outside is a dangerous place, like a hostile wasteland, full of threats waiting to take her down. But the truth is, they describe the world the way they are. The beliefs they plant can include the world out there is dangerous. People are evil. They'll take advantage of you the moment you trust them. People only help you when they want something from you. You're too naive. You won't survive out there. You'll come crawling back. But here is the truth. Her energy vampire family is the real threat. The world out there isn't just danger. It's a variety. Yes, evil people exist, but so do kind, loving people. If Susanna never leaves, though, her world will always stay dangerous. Spell number 9. Leaving is too complicated. To keep Susanna dependent, her family turns simple things into something overwhelming. Basic life tasks start to feel impossible. They tell her, you can't find a job on your own. Making money is too complicated. They'll step in the moment she tries to rent a place, for example. Suddenly, something simple becomes too complicated. Contracts are dangerous. Landlords are untrustworthy. You don't understand how this works. So they take over. They choose a place, they talk to the landlord, they handle the paperwork, and just like that, she's not choosing where she lives. They are. This is how the trap tightens. To keep her dependent, energy vampires turn basic life tasks into something overwhelming, almost impossible, and then they position themselves as the only ones who can handle it. It doesn't stop at housing. They'll do it with everything. Susanna is getting a job. You won't get hired without our help. Let me talk to someone for you. Managing money? You'll mess it up. Let me hold it for you. Filing taxes or documents? It's too complicated. You'll do it wrong. I'll take care of it. Making appointments? You don't know what to say. I'll call for you. Even small things, ordering something, sending an email, making a decision suddenly becomes something she cannot handle. If you're under this spell, it's a lie. You can do this. It's not hard. It's simple. What's hard is living with abuser. The abuser is the only hard part you need to worry about. Bloodline curses, the big picture. Now zoom out. Step back from Susanna's story for a second and look at the pattern. Susanna's mother, she was abused as a child too. Susanna's father grew up in a similar system with a mother who was just like Susanna's mother. So when these two met, it felt familiar. It clicked. Now zoom out again, and you'll see this story being repeated generation after generation. And when you look at it like that, it starts to feel like a curse, a bloodline curse, something invisible but powerful, something that keeps repeating itself, almost like it has a life of its own. And maybe, in a way, it's a curse, but not a mystical kind. Something far more real, something psychological, something learned, something installed. Because that's what it really is, a hypnotic state where you see a predator and call it love. You experience abuse and call it care. You erase yourself and call it a virtue. But here is the part they don't want you to see. If it was learned, it can be unlearned. If it was installed, it can be removed. The moment you start seeing clearly the truth, it fades. Susanna does have a chance to break the bloodline curses and become a hero of this family dysfunction. Not who saves everyone, that's impossible, but saves herself. The truth will set you free. Enjoy Ditch the Leech? Break bloodline curses. Take that energy back and invest it into your own growth, your own life, your own future. Subscribe to this channel for more content like this.